I saw very good performance with the Cooler Master V8 Ace 3D HP AMD version. The Intel one is not the same cooler, so I wanted to test on that platform as well and see if it would be even closer to how the AMD performed on the D15 G2. Welcome to Machines and More. On this channel, I cover a variety of PC building topics. Today, we're doing a sort of follow-up to a cooler review that I did recently. So, Cooler Master had released the Intel version of the V8 Ace 3D HP after they released the AMD version. I wasn't able to get the Intel version until later. And then I was under the weather and had hoped to share last week, but here we are. So if you saw the V8 Ace, the 3D HP review that I did on the AM5 platform, this cooler was very, very impressive for a single tower cooler, coming within about 2 degrees at the knock to a D15 G2. So I won't revisit the overview and the specs, since most of that, the fans that they use here, they are the same. But the Intel version has base plate and heat pipe level optimizations. For one, the Intel version is tuned for a slightly higher TDP, and they do include hardware for both platforms anyway, with the Intel hardware that's included covering all the way back to 11.5x. If you are still rocking that platform, hey, this is still going to work. So the secret sauce with this single tower cooler performing so well that we can even be discussing this against one of the best dual towers is because of this unique heat pipe design. You'll see these two vertical heat pipes that come straight out of the base plate. Out of the regular U-shaped pipes, there's these two here. And that's giving additional, we'll call it pipeline, for heat to come out of the base plate. And feel free to check out the AMD review. I'll link to that. That I talk about the cooler a little bit more in that. But for here, I really just wanted to show the testing. But one thing I wanted to know, I had a small issue with my Intel version that I didn't have with the AMD version, which I don't think has anything to do with the socket version. Might have just been shipping, one of those manufacturing things. But the frame or the rail system that the fan rides on, mine came defective out of the box and it was cracked. So I wasn't able to mount the fan off. Basically, this is a square frame that allows this to kind of slide up and down. That had snapped up, separated. So you can use the one from the AM5 version, which has the same frame, but obviously that's not going to help you if you've got something like that. But anyhow, potentially a weak point for this design. And when it does work, it's very elegant. It looks very clean, and you can slide this fan up and down. Really, it's very cool. But when it doesn't work, it just won't work. So if you do get this cooler, I would check it first and just make sure that the fan can seat fine. You do have to take the fan off anyway. But yeah, that can be a potential weak point. The plastic here is a little bit thinner, so I think you'll want to be careful with it. So testing. For AM5 testing, I compared against the regular knock to a D15 G2, which is also called the medium base convexity version. But for Intel, you can run the standard one, the regular one, or you could run the higher base convexity, which from my testing on previous gen LGA 1700, the HPC is actually a little bit better. But for the 285K, which I'm testing with, the HPC isn't necessarily better. But for completeness, I did go ahead and test both, since I am comparing against a specific Intel SKU in the V8 Ace anyway. So tested in the Lianli B4, and for noise normalized testing, the Cooler Master V8 that I'm running is at 2300 and 1900 RPM. These two fans are different. That's why you have two numbers. But that's equivalent noise to the D15 G2 at max speed. I'm seeing a much tighter gap compared to the 9950X 3D testing. The V8 Ace is only within half a degree of the regular version, so you might consider that functionally the same. Interestingly, the HPC version actually doesn't work well here. It actually ends up being worse than the V8 Ace. So that is sort of the danger of buying into a cooler that's specifically optimized for a particular CPU generation's characteristic. When you move on to the next socket, it may not be optimal, and that's what my testing review is here. Either way, though, super impressive for this guy. This one has even a little bit of extra headroom versus the D15, because the The noise normalized level was only at 96% on these fans, so you do get a little bit of extra oomph if you run at 100%. These are only 120 millimeter fans. They're LCP ones, and they have a fairly decent noise profile. And for this performing so well with the smaller fans versus the D15 G2, I think Cooler Master has truly pulled off something incredible. So, hey, I'm convinced if you're running an air-cooled system and you want something that's a little bit more compact, a little easier on the wallet, this is a very, very compelling choice. Again, noting that the looks, the engine or auto style design can be a little bit polarizing. But yeah, that'll do it for this one. Just a quick follow-up. More fun content coming up, so stay tuned. Make sure you're subbed, and the links are down below for the cooler. Thanks for watching.